It's becoming more and more obvious that luxury designer fashion is really losing its grip on its consumer base, especially when we're talking about the bigger name brands. If you just glance over their latest earnings reports, there are a lot of declines, and you might chalk this up to overall just consumers having less disposable income to spare on designer fashion, or it could be that a lot of these brands have had scandals, revelations concerning their sourcing of material, paying labors, other ethical practices. But overall, people are less and less interested in these brands. But it doesn't mean that people are not interested in luxury. I find that people still want to have the same luxurious pieces. They're just now more open to paying for those pieces, investing in those pieces without having to pay the premiums for the designer names. One of the places these types of consumers are gravitating towards are direct to consumer brands. These brands' claim to fame is that they offer the same quality of items as the higher end luxury brands. Some of them claim to offer the very same items, but just without the label, which means they can really present them at more accessible prices because they're able to cut out essentially the middlemen of fashion and the costly marketing strategies that usually factor into the high prices that people end up paying for designer labels. Jury is still out as to whether or not these direct to consumer brands are simply greenwashing their claims of ethical and sustainable practices, but we see that more and more shoppers are gravitating towards them as opposed to the higher end designer labels who are becoming increasingly out of touch with what's going on in the consumer or society base in general. And these direct to consumer brands have essentially been able to carve out an entire niche within the luxury fashion space. A lot of them have been around since the early 2010s, and I thought I would just bring them to the forefront for those who may have never really heard of them or had known this was a thing and you're interested in actually getting some luxurious types of items, but at more accessible prices. So I'll start with a brand right now that is my current favorite, and that is Italic. They offer ready-to-wear pieces for both men and women. They also have accessories, jewelry. They also have some household items, decor, etc. And they really claim to be a direct-to-consumer brand. They claim that they have access to the very same items and sources of raw material, such as brands like Burberry and Prada, and therefore you, as the consumer, are getting prices that are pretty close to what those brands are paying direct from the manufacturer. I really love their website because of how they curate their pieces. They have very few pieces. I am a less is more type of person, so it's easier to scroll through the website. It's a more peaceful experience. I also appreciate that just looking at it, it looks like the pieces are truly luxurious. I think the prices are reasonable. It gives this feeling of, the old money, wealthy countryside succession type of vibe, but without all the drama. It looks pretty peaceful to me. The pieces are very wearable. Just everyday pieces, but more elevated. Simply looking at the photos, you can see that the quality is there and the craftsmanship is definitely there. A lot of the pieces are anywhere from 50 to 80% of what you would pay from the higher end designers. So I definitely think it would be worthwhile to check out their website, especially if you are starting out as a young professional and you want to get some really high quality pieces you could wear to work. Versatile pieces that you pretty much wear anywhere. Everlane, you've most likely heard of. They were really one of the forerunners when it came to direct to consumer fashion. In the early 2010s, they were one of the first brands to really be transparent about the cost of sourcing materials, compensation for labor, just the whole process of manufacturing. And that really brought to light to a lot of people the value of the items that they were paying for from these higher end designer brands. When they were really in the heights of their popularity, this was a brand that a lot of people were going to when everybody was into their basic capsule wardrobe era, when you were getting the plain white tees, the jeans, all those really classic pieces. Everyone would turn to Everlane, and they still have those pieces available. Their prices are amazing. I think you can get things for as low as like $40 at full price on Everlane. They have some great leather bags, great shoes. It's just an overall good brand. Additionally, they've had several initiatives over the years when it comes to sustainability. They've had campaigns where they've asked people to bring in their non-biodegradable items like plastics, and they've been able to fund campaigns that encourage the recycling of those materials into clothing just to overall maintain sustainability in the world. So pretty good brand to support. Another favorite of mine that you may also know is Cuyana. They're really known for less is more, fewer is better, quality over quantity. Their most iconic piece essentially is their classic leather tote. Overall, they have a lot of very chic, simple, minimalist styles. They favor things that are more space saver, so they do have a lot of bag accessories, travel accessories, which I think is pretty useful for life in general, and they have them at extremely affordable prices. They've also engaged in several initiatives where they've asked people to bring in their old clothing for recycling, which again plays into sustainability and just improving our world overall. Naadam is another more recent and popular direct-to-consumer brand. They specialize in luxury knitwear at more accessible prices. If you were on that side of social media, you'd have seen their ads almost everywhere, where they really talk about their relationship with the herders and everyone involved in sourcing their key Mongolian cashmere that they use in their pieces. And they were known for the $75 100% cashmere sweaters. I personally own one. It's a pretty good item. I've worn it throughout fall and winter season for the past 2 years, and it's been very good. You can also get many different pieces. They've really branched out into what they have to offer. What I appreciate about Naadam is that they're able to cater to a wide market. You can see many different age groups being able to access things from them, and they look just as good in each piece. I love that they're, branching out into different aspects of fashion. And of course, we have to really appreciate them for driving eco-consciousness when it comes to consumerism, especially in the last, I want to say, like 4 to 5 years that they've become more and more popular. Going back to handbags, one that's actually considered a luxury brand you might not have known is a direct-to-consumer brand, and that is DeMellier. This is a London-based brand that has pretty popular styles right now, like the New York bag. You might have known them for the Vancouver bag. My personal favorite is the Montreal bag. They're amazing when it comes to using high-quality materials to create classic styles, but in a more modern way that really appeals to the masses, those people who love the old money aesthetic, but also love to be on trend. Outside of offering high quality, luxurious items at affordable prices, they've also been involved in a lot of initiatives that have helped with life saving and medical measures to help children. So, of course, they will continue to be a standout brand when it comes to contributing to sustainability in the world. Next up is Sézane, and when you think of Sézane, you just think of quintessential Parisian fashion. You think of effortlessly chic. You think of like vintage mixed with a little bit of modern, mixed with a little bit of futuristic, with a lot of organic fibers. That's essentially what you think of. And I love Sézane. I mentioned them already in this video that I did. I think it's an amazing brand. They have beautiful pieces overall, but they are somewhat of a direct-to-consumer brand because they focus on a lot of eco-friendly fabrics, as I mentioned before, and they've also been pretty transparent when it comes to their supply chain as well as their accessibility in terms of pricing. Majority of their pieces at full price is anywhere between $100 to $300, which in this day and age is pretty good for high quality, luxurious pieces with a European twist. Final brand I want to talk about is Dear Francis, and I saw this brand so many times on my Instagram, and every time I have clicked because I find the shoes in the photos to be so beautiful. This is another direct-to-consumer brand that got a lot of fame for their boots, and they're notable for using high-quality materials like the rest. They have employed Italian craftsmanship, and their attention to detail is really what gained them this loyal following. Overall, I think these direct-to-consumer brands are worth looking into if you're trying to step away from the typical higher-end luxury labels, but you don't want to sacrifice the price. And you also want to bring some ounce of eco-consciousness, sustainability, supporting ethical practices and fair wages. It just makes you feel better while consuming your fashion. Let me know if you shop with these brands and if you have any direct-to-consumer brands that you've been loving recently. Until my next video, stay fashionably well and in good health.